Okay, in this video, we're going to go through a basic planar design in Topcon Agform 3D. So come up here to icon, click open a project, choose an existing project. And here we have just a, a field with contours, existing contours shown, no design or anything. We have a landmark line with landmark points and descriptions over here of a pipeline. We have break lines here and here. These two denote a pipeline. This one is going through a ditch to get good readings down this ditch for it to show up properly. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, we go into our home menu and you have choices. If you click the arrow down, you have best fit, which is a best fit planar. You have a fixed slope plane where you can key in your own direction and slopes. You have a fixed point and slopes plane where you can choose a coordinate anywhere out here and an elevation, then type in the slopes that you want. You have hinge planes grayed out, but that won't show up until we actually do a design. Then we have variable slope, fill sinks, and then matched. And so, but we're just going to deal with best fit and fixed slope for now. So if you click off of that, if you just click on the icon, it's just going to take you to a best fit. First thing it's going to ask you is, do you want to begin section design? Because no section currently exists. You click yes. That immediately creates a section line around this. So if you wanted to, you could cancel this. You'd still have the section line around it, and you could start breaking into sections if you knew where you wanted to go with it. In this case, it comes up, 0 is our direction, or where it's going to best fit off of, which it won't necessarily go in that direction. And we have import, export options, and we have cut fill ratio. Standard cut fill ratio for most places are 1.2. Other areas of the country may see more depending on the soil type and also the how light the soil is, yards per acre, things like that. But this is a good starting point for this. So we just click on compute, and it instantly gives us that it's going to the south and to the east. So we come over here to our design pane, click on it, and we can make this show up all the time by hitting this pin and making it point down. So now then this stays here all the time, even if you click off of it. So we have areas 51.4 acres, cut fill volume is 6155. It's 120 yards to the acre. We didn't do any import or export. This shows the current section, which we only have one section right now. And here it says planar best fit. So we know what type of design was done on this without having to guess. And it gives all the other information for it with our max cut fill range, max 2.21 cut, max 2.18 fill, 120 yards to the acre, import volume, and the slope. Slope 1 is at 0.111% to the south, this direction, and slope 2 is 0.061% to the east, or 90 degrees. The compound slope is a 127 at 151.38 degrees. So we have here the existing contours, but if we go to our layers, we can turn off these existing contours, and then we can go down to the design menu. And in this, we have the design contours. So this is what the design contours look like, similar to what rice levers would look like in a field if you pull rice levers out there. So when you're getting that compound slope is perpendicular to this line here. So then we have, if you go to the cut fill contours, that's our cut fill contours. So we turn off the design contours. So basically, it's 100 yards, 120 yards to the acre, and a planar surface. This is a ridge back over here that we're cutting through, a little high over here, a little bit in this corner here, and a little bit down here. Now we have this pipeline here that we can't cut through here, so we'll have to do something about that. But this is a good starting point. So we know the field is falling to the south and to the east, which we could see that pretty good just from the existing contours themselves. So you can see with these lines going down to the south and to the east, if we overlay our design contours, you see that they follow pretty close to the existing contours. So, you know, the best fit is following pretty close to what the existing is going through. So we turn these off. Now then, we want to change this to a certain slope. You know, maybe they want a side slope, or maybe they don't, depending if it's a rice field or just a furrow irrigated field. So one of the shortcuts, if you right click, you get this menu. You can deactivate the section, you can draw a section line, design the current section, and you have current section properties, and then there's ways to select different things. So, but if we just want a planar surface, we go over here and just choose fixed plane slopes. So, you know, this best fit gives us a reference of what we want to do. So if they want, like, you know, more slope than this or less slope, so we can go to, say, 0.15%, and we want 0.05, and then we won't do any import or export till we measure around the field, and we just hit compute. Now then, that changes to 181 yards to the acre. And if we turn our cut fill back on, now we still have this cut here. We don't have much cut here because we're doing more slope and building this up, and we have more down here because it changed the way we did it before. So if we go back to a best fit, we can see that we got this best fit. We turn on these contours, and if you hit to go forward and backwards to redo and undo, Control Z will undo, so that goes back to nothing. Control Y will redo as far as you go. So you can just keep hitting Control Z to go backwards, or Control Y to get back to your end point of where you left off. So if we go back Control Z, that's what the contours look like then. Control Y, that's what it looked like now. You can see how it changes our cut and fill. So in the menu over here, we have the contours. You can turn on flow arrows, which is kind of go pretty well perpendicular to the design contours. We have the grid of design elevations, which in this case, to change this, we go into our options menu and we change this to 100 and click OK. So there's our design elevations. We can also turn on the grid of the cuts and fills. And if we want to see all three, the existing, we can turn on the grid of the existing elevation. So now you have your cutter fill, your existing elevation denoted by an E, and a design elevation denoted by a D. And you can scroll in or out with your scroll knob on your mouse. And then you can, if you press that knob down, you can move it around how you want to, pan, without hitting any of these over here. And if you hit the home key, it'll zoom extents. So we can turn these off. This is our design grid, cut fill grid, and the existing grid. So we have the cut fill contours on. So now if you're used to seeing red, green, and blue, red being cut, green being neutral, blue being fill, you can keep it like that. Or if you go up into the other menu, if you turn on the gradient color and click OK, and they give you graduated cut fills. So as you can see, green is still neutral. You have a lighter color of blue for your fill, which this is 2/10, and then it changes to a darker blue. But you also, over here in the field pane, it'll give you a legend of what each one means. So the lighter blue is 2/10 fill, darker blue is 4/10, the purple looking color is 6/10, and anything this color here is more than 8/10. Same thing for the cut and fill, different shades. So you can tell how your cuts and fills are graduating from this neutral line just based on the shade of the color of the contours. So also you can, if you want to do a solid color, it'll turn off the cut fill contours and do a region area. So all of this is within up to 1/10. Then we get into the 1/10 to 2/10, and then so on and everything. So you can see at a glance where your thin cuts and thin fills are and where your heavier cuts and fills get. So go back, turn these off, turn on cut fill contours. So then if you want to do a section line, you can right click, get your menu and hit and draw a section line. It'll tell you to choose a point on the perimeter or of another section line if you have it. Now here's a little trick that if you, let's just say you want to go parallel to this edge over here, you come up here and measure, click on this and this, we have 210 degrees. So we can come in here and change our grid to, we'll just change it to 3000 because we just want one line, not have a bunch of lines. So 210 degrees, click OK. Come over here to layers, turn this on. Now since I already had it set here, you can change this to wherever you want to. Select location, you select the location here. See, this is parallel with this. So if you knew how many feet you wanted this section to be, you could just go in here and type in, we want it to be, say, 800 feet. So now here's our next line, which is down pretty well center. So we can right click, draw a section line, and we can zoom in on this to get pinpoint or where we want to be. If you see the red, it's the red dot is clicking on it will snap to the line. If you see green, that means that there's a data point there, like a perimeter point. So we click here, zoom out, then come down here, zoom in, and you have coordinates there in the box, but you can keep going over. Also, if you need to get on a particular point on your keyboard, if you press the Control and use your arrow keys, you can move over 1 pixel at a time, or press and hold, go up or back over. Let's just say we come down here and we get on this line. Now we can keep punching over till we get exactly where we want to be. And you can see our azimuth is 209.99, which is just almost 210, which is what we're set at. So we can left click, hit home, and now we have it split into 2 sections. So we can get the grid lines out of the way. So now we can do a best fit again. And right click, set current, right click again, best fit, then do that. So, and then you can turn on the contour lines and see how they match up. You can see that they're running at different angles because we have, on this one, we have 0.111 to the south and 0.7073 to the east. Click up here, we'll change this, or we can right click and change it back and forth, or click up here and go back and forth. So on section 2 over here, this one is a 0.114 and the side slope is a 0.056. So if we change these, change this one to a 0.07, and just change this to a 0.11. Then come over here and do this one the same way. Now you can see that our lines are running parallel to each other, but there is a little bit of difference in elevation. So if we go to our profile view, we can just come across here and look at this, and we see that this section here, which will be section 2, is a little bit higher than section 1. So the green line is the natural ground. The white lines are the design elevations. So that's just one way to see how they match up. Or you can just move across and look at your, down at the bottom, look at the design elevation to see how they match up. So then if you want to do a split it again, you know, you just, whichever one you want to split, let's just say we want to leave this, stop at this ditch. We can highlight this one, set current, right click, draw a section line, and we start in up here and just click along this break line. Okay, now we have a third section. And so we have to redesign this one. And we can go back in here and just do a fixed slopes if you want to keep it the same. It remembers the last slopes that you dialed in. So if you want to keep it the same, you just keep it the way it is and click on compute. And so now you have that. And then you don't have to do anything over here. You can leave this out. So that's how to put in section lines and do a planar best fit and a planar design.